Hello guys, David Vos here. Another beautiful day here in Oklahoma. Little clouds and beautiful fall day. It's not real hot or humid or anything. Hope you're having a wonderful day where you are. Well, friends, get ready, get set. No, I was going to say, I was reading this picture. Get ready, it's coming. I mean, I don't know why I would use that picture, but, it's a picture. I mean, I haven't got all day to try and figure out what I'm going to put on here, but what's really weird, this has been happening. I look for some pictures real quick to kind of somewhat portray what I'm saying or whatever, and Google has this thing where they put pictures in my video that they want. Now, I can mess with it and remove the videos that they throw in there, but they don't do it so that you know what's happening, because you click on a picture that you want to download and put into your video. This app probably is owned by Facebook or Google, so they can control these apps. They own most of the different apps. They go together and they work together. But it looks like they've got some sort of mechanism in this particular app I'm using where they can just pop up various pictures that they want in your video. And you end up like loading it and don't even realize those pictures are in there. So you'll see some of them going through. One of them is about Black Lives Matter. I did not put that picture in this video. I left it in because I wanted you to see the kind of videos that they're trying to. In other words, they're putting propaganda in my videos for you guys. And I'm sorry about that. If I spend more time going over the video after I'm done talking, because I usually just talk for an hour and load it. I don't have a lot of time to listen back over and over again, see if there's anything that's happened, while I wasn't looking. So I'm going to have to start taking more and more precautions. I'm noticing a lot more and more little pictures popping up in my videos that I did not put in there. And I know a lot of you are probably thinking, well, I'm just doing it accidentally and I don't realize it. No, friends, I've verified that the videos that I put into my video refuse to be the pictures that I actually downloaded. And I can see the picture. Let's say it's a picture of a pineapple. I can see it in my gallery as a pineapple. I put it on this little app to put them together so that then I can turn on the recorder and talk, and it pops up videos just randomly, or I should say pictures. So right now you see this picture that says Black Lives Matter on your screen, I'm noticing. Well, that's not the actual picture. I'm looking down right now as I'm recording, and the picture is actually a picture of that thing, that stuff we were talking about yesterday that I couldn't say, but I found a clever little way for you guys to know what I'm talking about, so you don't have to write to me. If you don't want to, you can just look at this and see, and hopefully you guys will see it. But they're just changing. They've got propaganda, I noticed, of people getting shots and stuff like that. So anyway, don't pay any attention to the man behind the curtain. But yeah, there's the stuff we were talking about. Then yesterday, while I was making that video, several people contacted me and said, Dave, Facebook is down worldwide. It's happening, man. And so I'm like, okay, well, my Facebook was up. So I was like, what's going on here? Evidently, they're saying that Facebook went down just because of some internal problems they had. It was no big deal. Settle down, okay? However, so did Instagram and what's the other one? Snapchat. I think a couple of others. Turns out, because I was thinking, okay, well, if Facebook had trouble, what about Instagram and WhatsApp also? Evidently, Facebook owns it all. Facebook owns Snapchat, Instagram, and WhatsApp. Now, I know a while back, everybody was on WhatsApp, people that you couldn't communicate with in another country or whatever. would communicate with you, even could make phone calls on WhatsApp. And you see, in those days, people enjoyed that app because supposedly you couldn't be tracked. It wasn't. Now, why would a company offer you the courtesy of not being spied upon? Simply because the only reason you would spy upon people is if you have some nefarious plan. Now, certain individuals who buy companies, remember we talked about Apple originally, Steve Jobs wasn't in on it with them. And for years, I used to work on computers. Well, Microsoft, all the computers had viruses all over it. You couldn't even, within 1 year, your computer was designed to shut down. You had to go buy a new one. Unless, of course, you could go and repair it somehow and go through and untangle and erase everything on your hard drive and start over with a new program or something. But the viruses literally took it out. Oh, look at there. They threw this picture in of the Prime Minister of Britain holding what? You guess it. Yeah, you guess it. What's in his hand there? I don't know. But this is some kind of propaganda they put into this video. I did not put this picture in. There are several pictures in here that they've added. And it all has to do with, this thing. And one of them was Black Lives Matter. But anyway, so the reason that it happened to all those different companies because Facebook owns it all. So we really have the biggest monopoly that you could imagine. We got one man controlling all the media. I mean, basically, the news isn't even the news anymore. I don't watch Fox News. I don't watch any of the news channels. I certainly don't watch CNN or MSNBC or any of these programs because they're all just liars and it's all propaganda. So, what was Facebook really doing? You have to wonder in your mind if what they're saying is true, because why would Facebook just shut down for a period of time? Wasn't very long ago, what was it, just a few months ago, there was this big, people on, I think, Verizon and certain phone companies, their phone service went down for a while, and everybody was thinking, oh my goodness, they were panicking. And I think before that, a few months, they had this big panic. Why? Because they're telling you, if you go on Google, underneath the Google Chrome that you download, the app, they have the news articles. Every day on my news article list, they have, like, one of the top stories every day is that there is coming a big crisis where the entire internet's going to go down. They keep warning us that the sunspot's going to, or a sun flare is going to go off, or something's going to happen. I mean, remember back in the year 2000, your 19 party tell you, can't party no more, 1999 and Prince and all this stuff. And in the year 2000, at the point when the year 2000 was supposed to turn over, everything was supposed to end because the computers supposedly didn't have the ability to keep functioning after in a new millennia. And they said that it would crash. It was called YK2? Well, it never happened. Nothing happened. It was a big hoax. But they, I believe, were telling us that for a reason. And I'm sure there might be, by the way, that picture I didn't put in here. Again, it has to do with, this thing going around. I didn't put this picture in here. But, so maybe they played out that Y2K thing. There may have been some reasons that I can't fathom right now why they did that. It's kind of interesting that it came somewhere near 9/11. There's a lot of things that have been going on that were sort of hoaxes. Now, maybe they're just doing this to try and keep this in our psyche. Like they keep saying, oh, look there's UFOs. I mean, they've been saying that for 50 years, people have been seeing flying saucers, and yet they're constantly denying that they exist. But leaking stories like the Roswell incident or the cow mutilations, we're seeing cow mutilations all the time in the newspapers, in all the stories, and people are all, reading about it and hearing all the scuttlebutt and the conspiracies. But in the mainstream, they're not talking about it. But it's like below the surface. It's like they're constantly running these things. I heard just yesterday that if you go on to the internet now and look up stuff about the flat earth, all the information that people were putting out about the flat earth is now mostly gone, except for some really crazy people that's still running around talking about it. And I had thought, well, maybe they wanted us to believe in the flat earth. Well, what they want you to believe is the real loony ideas, and they let those go forward. But people that had some real good research on things like NASA and program, things that they don't want you to know, that's all been scrubbed from the internet. So they can take things down. So these things that we hear about that are solutions to what may have happened are always propaganda. So the Roswell incident was just a made up Hollywood moment, like the moon landing. That was made in a Hollywood studio. That doesn't mean they did not go to the moon. We have satellites in the air. You see rockets lifting off from the earth. We know these phones work. They have technology. They have CERN. These things are real, guys. The thing of it is they can't show us. Either it's possible they've never gone to the moon. We do not know whether they're just flying up in the air and circling around and coming back down and making the whole thing up. Wouldn't put it past them. But if they have gone to the moon, I do believe there is a moon. I believe it's a sphere. I think there's a backside. I do think there are bases there. The moon is talked about in ancient esoteric wisdom all the way back. We've covered some of that information, but we know that it's real. I think about 5-6 years ago, I did a video about the moon, talking about how all these craters on the moon, we've always been told they're craters from asteroid or meteorite shower, debris hitting the moon and pocking up the whole thing. Well, I did a video about 5 or 6 years ago, maybe 7 years, I don't know, where I said that it's not reasonable to think that all of those craters were caused from meteorites, but they're probably volcanic eruptions that make craters. And I showed some craters in the United States or in the world that we know were volcanoes. They always leave a crater, like Mount St. Helens. After it went off, it blew off the top of the mountain and leaves a crater. And so a lot of times you see that we've never seen a meteorite hit the ground and leave a crater. We've never witnessed it, so we don't know if it happens. We've always said they were meteorites, like that one huge one down in Arizona. They claim, the earth was hit by some kind of megaton rock, right? Must have caused the extinction of the dinosaur. That's not true. As we have said, there are many experiments that have been done, but when you have this energy that pervades the universe, that today we're calling magnetism or whatever. In the ancient times, they had different words. The Germans called it Vril, right? They had the Vril society. It was the force be with you. The Vril was the force, the power, the magnetism, the electricity, the electromagnetism, whatever. And it was a secret power. Of course, back in German, 1940s, 1930s, science was trying to understand the universe. We still thought that there were particles and stuff like that. Germany was far way out advanced in all this Tesla information and internet and radio waves and making rocks weightless. They had machines and ships that appeared to be weightless. What kind of technology we don't know, but they did perfect some of this information, probably they even had the nuclear bomb before we did. They didn't want to have a nuclear war where the entire world was blown up and no one won. So there was no sides. It was the elite against us. They got all the countries to come together and finance a war so they could kill each other. But in the end, they didn't let anybody win. They just divided it between the Soviet Union and the United States. So they didn't let there be any winners. And you notice that after that, the Russians had a space program and the Americans had a space program like NASA. Some of the German scientists were taken to Russia, and they claimed that they were good people and they just had to tell the Soviet Union these secrets so that there would be a balance of power. That's not why they did it. They do it because they wanted the world, whether in the West or the East or the North or the South, everybody in the world had to understand that there were scary things going on. And you had to obey your country. If you were communist or a socialist or a capitalist, wherever you lived, out of fear that somebody could kill you at any minute, the other side had weapons. It was this big staged event we've had for the last 70 years where we were under the threat of nuclear attack. So now they're using other threats like, mysterious diseases or whatever. But they keep us afraid, and then they make us do the stuff that they want us to do because of that fear and intimidation. I guarantee their plan was to not have Trump be president for the last 4 years. I now believe with all my heart that they knew exactly what they were going to do. Trump comes in, they pretend, all these people on the left pretending they hate Trump, and yet their relatives, many of their relatives, are having marital arrangements with Trump's daughter, or making some, deal in a corporative manner, financial deals. They are sitting at this table behind the scenes, making deals about warp speed and the military taking the shot to everybody and coming up with the quantum financial system, which is basically the world takeover, or AI taking over the world. We've had Greg Gutfeld for years before any of this ever happened, constantly on every show saying he was scared that the robots were going to take over. You got Joe Rogan talking about the robots taking over. You got Elon Musk constantly running around warning everybody that the robots are taking over, and he said will not be good for mankind. And then he turns around and says we can't beat them, let's join them, and makes the Neuralink. Friends, something is going on. So they wanted Trump out because they're going to use the fact that people are going to get so tired of what they're about to do. They need to have scapegoats to take the blame. So they put in an old senile old man that by the time he's done in office, he'll be so old they'll probably just say, oh, he passed away. If not, he'll be in a Looney Tune, straitjacket, or he'll, his medications will be so strong he'll just be drooling and nobody will be able to talk to him. Or they'll just have Trump become president and he'll say, I'm going to put him in jail, and then they'll have this big, because everything that's been going on is going to be so serious. The economy is going to be gone. The World War III is going to start. Food shortages, famines, pests, all these terrible things are going to happen. Okay, so then you bring in the savior after all these things have happened and the country's in ruins and we're starving and millions of people are dying, and then we're like, yeah, bring Trump back. Oh, please, please. He wasn't the one who did all this to us. Since Trump's been gone, we've had it terrible. This big bag, Pelosi and Biden have destroyed us all. And they will take the blame. And they'll say, okay, these idiot socialists running around in anarchy, we're not putting up with this anymore. We want law and order. And so then they'll build more prisons and they'll build more hospitals, and the problem with this society is nobody wants to keep the law, right? We've got to keep the law. I'm a law-abiding president, Trump will say. And we need to start financing the police, and then there'll be soldiers in every corner of this country putting down any resistance or any rebellion. This will happen in Australia right now. They've got a goon running that country. And the people are so tired of the the socialist regime going on over there. Same thing with Canada, with Trudeau. What they're going to do is they're going to run Trudeau and the Prime Minister of Australia, I don't remember his name, and Biden, and these guys are going to run the whole world into the ditch until there's no return. Everybody's got the then other things will pop up like, oh, it's global warming. The sun is so terrible. Why you go outside and you get burned? Now it's illegal to go outside without a scarf over your face because you might burn your face. I don't know, but they're going to be talking about, oh, it's so bad now that if we catch you throwing a piece of candy bar wrapper on the ground, you'll go to prison for 10 years. Or if we hear that you don't believe in the great holy global warming theory, then they'll have some, like terminology like you're a terrible earth racist or something. You don't believe in Mother Earth, or, I don't know, but they'll be blaming people, innocent people who just want to have their own rights and freedoms, who don't believe in the scary, non-existent things like global warming. It's not really happening, but we're being told that that's the reason why everybody's got to go into their houses and put on and then jump out the window and die. So as soon as they're done, another year and a half or whatever it is, or a couple years of this, where we're going to, friends, it's going to get so you're going to be begging for the military to be in the streets. Why? Because mankind is to the place now where we cannot any longer live without the help of big government. We no longer know how to feed ourselves. We can't even build a campfire without, you got on the internet, you've got all these YouTube these shows where people are going into the woods and camping. And most people, instead of actually going out into the woods and camping for themselves, or buying some property in the mountains and building a cabin and living that lifestyle, where they have this little fantasy they'd like to go back to nature and live in harmony with the world and stuff and play with the animals and be a, Grizzly Adams or something. Well, but they can't. They fantasize about it, but they feel like it's impossible. How would you? There's nowhere to go anymore. Oh, there's campsites the government provides, $16.99, a night or something. But there's no real, what do you do when you go camping like that? You bring some stovetop microwavable, packages or something, some canned food or some food that's in a bag, and you rip it open and pour hot water in it and wait 10 minutes. Nobody even knows how to build an actual fire with matches. I don't think people even know what matches is. We have lighters, and we have lighter fluid, and we have tents, and we're living in our cars. We're not really living or camping. People don't even know what living out in nature means. And the minute they don't have a propane heater or a very expensive tent with a cot and special blow-up mattresses and, all this fancy stuff. I mean, shoot, people go camping and then they set their tent up and then take off in their Toyota Land Cruiser and back into town to get some KFC before they go back to the tent and call it a night. People don't know how. If they take the clothes that they have on their back into camping, and 2 days later they're back home in their luxurious penthouse. So, you're missing all the parts, like how people used to hunt animals and use the hide for moccasins and coats, and using the hides, the pelts, they'd put them together and make tents out of it, teepees, and they'd learned how to hunt, and they learned how to fish, and they learned how to build. We all have this little fantasy. We want to go back and live in peace. But the minute we go into nature, we sit there for a minute and it's so quiet. We're like, where's my phone? And you'll go back on your phone. You'll be out in the middle of nowhere. There'll be a beautiful sunset, but you're on your phone scrolling, and you'll sit there and scroll for hours until you fall asleep. So they've gotten it now to where they have us. There are probably less than, well, I'm thinking just about 144,000 is probably all we're going to squeeze out of this, of people that are capable and literally who have a desire, who actually want to be a natural human being. I mean, it's like we're no longer just natural people who can, it's like we're cyborgs, and people can't even live in the world without some sort of technology. Nobody can use a handsaw, right? People don't even use hammers. They use hammers with electric hammers, or staples, big staples or whatever. I mean, everything's gone easy, but it's harder than it's ever been in human history. And so, even though people aren't happy in their luxurious penthouses because they're drinking and they're sick and they're over the toilet puking, or, they're worried about their family and people don't like them and they're angry and they got bills and there's just so much that they're frightened that somebody they love is going to, have to go to the hospital and they're sick. Because nowadays you go to the doctor and immediately if you go get a test, they're going to tell you something's wrong. And most of what they're telling you is just not true. They're frightening and persuading a lot of people to end up just basically giving away their lives because of the fact that they've taken their minds. They can't live in peace because they're afraid. The lies that they're being told, they believe them and they're scared. We can't live in the woods, Dave, because it's too harsh. There's too much global warming. We would pollute the earth if we went outside and went to the bathroom on the ground. Why, that would be the end of the world. We'd much better we let factories blow black coal air into the sky, right? That would be better for all of us. Instead of people going outside and having wood burning on a fire or literally going to the bathroom in a hole in the ground. Why, that would just ruin the environment. You see animals going to the bathroom everywhere, all over the world. There's buffaloes and deer and giraffes and elephants, and yet somehow or another their manure doesn't seem to ruin the environment. But it's only us humans that have to be, told that, well, you can't actually do any of the bodily functions. You're not allowed to just chop down that weed right there and just eat it. We've taken all knowledge of the animals or of the herbs from human beings. So we no longer even know how to forage for food or live in the wild. So this is the thing. The Bible tells us that no one be able to buy or sell. Buy or sell. It doesn't say that whoever takes the mark is beheaded. That's something that I was looking at. I think a lot of people think that anybody who gets the mark of the beast has to go to hell or something of that nature, or, they're going to be killed if they get the mark of the beast. But it's actually the opposite. It says that anyone who, it says, it tells those who dwell on the earth to make an image to the wild beast that had the death stroke, the sword stroke, and was revived. And there was granted to give breath to the image of the beast, so that the image of the wild beast should both speak and cause to be killed all those who would not in any way worship the image of the beast. So the people that are dying, the third of the people on the earth that dies, right after that in chapter 6 it says, how long, O Lord? are you refraining from avenging our blood? And he says, wait a little while longer, that your fellow servants may be killed as you have been. So it seems to me that what it's saying here is the people are going to die because they wouldn't get the mark of the beast. And it sounds like just about the right numbers right now. We know that about 2/3 have gotten it, and only about 1/3 of the people in the world have not gotten it. Well, what's about to happen to these people who refuse it? But the other thing is that if you do get the mark of the beast, then it says, the other thing is it says that you won't be able to buy or sell if you don't get the mark. So the only thing the mark does for you is let you buy and sell. It doesn't say you're forced to get it. But then again, if you're killed because you don't have it, that's what it says, that they should kill all those who would not worship the beast. So the Bible does say he's going to kill all those who will not worship the beast or his image. Friends, a lot of you might say, well, then I don't want to die, so I guess I better take the mark of the beast. Well, but friends, if you get the mark of the beast, it says that you're going to get a grievous sore on your body. In one place it says, for 5 months you'll wish to die, but you will not be able to. And in another place it says that the grievous sore, let me see if I can find that one. Verse 16, I think it says in verse 2, and that first one went off and poured his bowl into the earth, and a hurtful and malignant ulcer came upon the men that had the mark of the wild beast, that were worshiping its image. So if you get the mark of the beast, now we don't know if remember this stuff that we talked about yesterday, that can take the mark off of you. It can literally get rid of the nanotechnology, the little particles of metal that they're putting in your body. It can, because that's acidic. All metal is acidic. Then this stuff we were talking about can literally dissolve that, as well as get rid of anything else that they're putting into your body. So we don't know. All we know is that they would kill anybody who doesn't have it. But it doesn't say everybody will die, because there is 144,000 that it says has come off victorious from the beast and his image and the mark of his name. And we know specifically that they don't receive the mark. They receive a seal in their forehead, which is the seal of the living God. And the Bible tells us that that's the seal of the Holy Spirit. So those who have the Spirit of God, and the Apostle John tells us what that is. He said, hereby we know we are in Christ, if we have love. And he says, if you want to know if you've got love, here's the answer. People who have love, they see somebody hungry and they feed them. They see somebody naked and they clothe them, if they have the means. And they are those who are giving the good news and helping people and loving one another. So Jesus said all the time, when that day comes, some will say, my master delays his coming, and they begin to eat and drink with the confirmed drunkards and the gluttons. And then they begin to beat their fellow servants. Now, it's very symbolic. What it means is we're under the new covenant. The wine of our covenant, see, is love and grace. They're going to go back to the drunkards and the gluttons. Those are the people who ate the bread, or the sacrifices on the altar of Judaism. And that was the law covenant. It was a different covenant. So they go back to the old wine, right? Jesus brought the new wine, the new covenant. And so Jesus said to love one another, not to beat your fellow servants. So this is all fitting everywhere. We got scriptures all over, like the 2 Thessalonians, where it says that it will not come the day of the Lord until the apostasy comes first, the falling away. And then other places in the Bible, it talks about the love of the greater number having cooled off. So what we're waiting for, which we've arrived at, is for the majority of mankind, the love of the greater number, having cooled off. That is the epitome, or the definition of what Paul says is the great apostasy, the falling away of mankind. Once the world is now in the state where You can't talk to these people. Those who are bent on this evil ridiculousness, this greed and hate, and this old covenant, slavery and all of this, and buying and selling, and dividing up the world among the elite, and we're just the peasants and we're slaves. Those who are insisting on that, those are the ones that are going to be learning a very good lesson here very soon. The consequences of their actions is going to be exposed, and they're going to find out that this pleasure that they've had in their sin for a season is going to come to an end. So it seems like it's very clear that the majority of the people that refuse the will be killed. So some of you are saying, well, then I'm scared. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. Remember, dying, it says they're beheaded in one place. I don't know if that's going to be literal, but it'll be quick. It's just, that's it, right? You have no other choice except to be full of faith. There's one other group. Some have enough faith to not get the shot, but they don't necessarily have the Holy Spirit. They're scared. They haven't got it all figured out, but they know one thing. They will not hurt another human being. They will not participate in harming others. They don't want to pass away, right? They don't even, may not all of them know exactly what they're doing, but they refuse to be forced on the ground and get down on their knees and worship government. Okay, but there seems to be another group that Jesus talks about. It says, some of you, he says, they'll put to death. When he's in Matthew 24, where Jesus is talking about this time. He says, some of you they'll put to death. But he says, others, this must mean that they won't be put to death. Some of you they'll take before kings and rulers for my name's sake. But he says, not one hair of your head will be harmed. Who are they? Those are the ones he keeps telling us. He says, when that day comes, don't be deceived. He says, remember, this deception is going to be so great that it will, he says, it will deceive the very elect. Jesus said, it will deceive the very elect, if possible. So I guess what I take from that in these other verses is that this deception is going to be so severe and so terrible. Some of us might start thinking that, the government's on our side, or thinking Trump's going to help us or something. It's easy to be deceived. We have to be very careful and don't get lulled to sleep in their little tricks, because we don't know what they're about to do. It looks like they're just lulling us to sleep. Their Hegelian tactics have worked. They got the left and the right, the socialists and the communists, and they're always give you two sides and two extremes, and then we get to debate in both extremes. In the meanwhile, they're passing all these new things that we're not talking about. They're doing all these crazy things to our world that we don't even know is going on. We're too busy talking about transgenders or some crazy thing. Meanwhile, they're building a one world government. It's crazy. I remember growing up thinking that we were told we were no part of the world, that we were Christians. As a Jehovah's Witness, that's what we were told. And yet, at the same time, they were always telling us about the New World Order. The New World Order was coming. And they've gotten most Jehovah's Witnesses now to where they actually probably wouldn't know the difference between the New World Order that the devil's bringing and the one that they've been claiming is coming. This New World Order. They had their New World Bible, right? The New World Translation. And they always talked about their organization not as a church, but as an organization, a society, these secret societies. Well, it was called the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. But we had no idea we're being taught and propagandized for the coming new world order. And most Christians, they're doing the same thing. They're not teaching you how to live in a society where Jesus talked about love and not having to buy and sell and make women slaves. Most Christians think it's going to be just like under the law of Moses in heaven. Women are going to have to wear their little veils, sit down and be quiet. Men are going to rule, and there's going to be all these rules. And at any time, I suppose, when we get to heaven, if you were to do something wrong, I suppose God would send down a lightning bolt and just zap you off that cloud, right? Because I don't think people understand what it means to be immortal. That also means you're God. An immortal person means that you cannot be killed because you have the divine nature. You are immortal, and you will live forever, and no one can tell you what to do. You're partaking of knowledge to become like God, and then you're going to go and put your hand forth and eat from the tree of life, and Jesus said you're going to live forever. I grant you eternal life. And the Apostle Peter says that we're going to partake of the divine nature. So, if you think, friends, that you just can't handle just being a martyr, that you don't have that kind of faith, remember this. If you go along with them and you get down on your knees and worship the beast, the Bible tells you in Revelation chapter 16 and verse 2, that you're going to be in way worse shape. It'll be far worse for you. At least understand, you may not have a lot of faith. You don't know what faith is, so you're not sure if you have it. But one thing we as human beings can see for our own eyes right now is everything that's in this book of Revelation is happening right now. Right down to this biological warfare. Right down to the intimidation. The great multitudes talked about here in the Revelation. And getting their white robes. And it tells you that many of them ended up dying. Because it says, wait a little while longer. They've been killed, right? Wait a little while longer. It says, here, have some white robes. He gave them white robes. And he says, now wait a little while longer. So we know who the people with the white robes are. They're people who refuse the mark. There will be many. And now listen, that might be the best way to go. Because this happens early when they murder about a third of the people. And those people won't have to go through the rest of the tribulation, which is going to be very, very severe. Because they've already had the courage to say no. And they're now in heaven with their white robes. A great multitude. That's 3 billion people right there. The other few billions of people, it says what's going to happen to them. Friends, do not find yourself in that category. Now, the third category is the 144,000. If you want to be in that category, all you have to do is have faith. It says they follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. That's what it says about him. Let me read it to you about these. It says, I saw in chapter 14 of Revelation, I saw and look the Lamb standing upon Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his name and the name of his Father written on their foreheads. You know why they have the name of their Father written on their foreheads? That's also the seal of the living God. And they've come off victorious from the wild beast and his name and his number. So they do not worship. And they're not the ones who die, because they're standing on the mount. And it says, I heard a sound out of heaven as the sound of many waters, and as the sound of a loud thunder. Now, why is the sound of many waters coming from the heaven? Because that's many crowds of nations and peoples and tongues. And the great multitude are in heaven. So the great thunderous sound of many waters is coming from heaven. The sound of a loud thunder. Because, 3 billion people is a lot of, noise. And they've got their white harps and stuff. And it says, the sound that I heard was as the singers who accompany themselves on the harp, playing on their harps. And they are singing as if a new song before the throne and before the four living creatures and the elders, and no one was able to master that song but the 144,000. No one could master the song. So the difference then between those who are martyrs, they get their white robes, and those who are not martyrs, but who remain until he comes. Because remember, he says after the tribulation of those days, he'll come and on the clouds of heaven and gather from the four extremities of the heavens his elect. After the tribulation. That's why he says, endure until the end and you shall be delivered from the wrath to come. So the wrath to come isn't the part that where people are martyred because they didn't get the mark of the beast. The wrath to come is the punishment for those who did get the mark of the beast. Friends, you do not want to get that mark because it will be a terrible, 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 painful, malignant ulcers all over your body. You will die a horrific, terrible death. So, that is why I have wondered what to do when we have loved ones that may have accidentally gone out, because at this stage and age, we don't know. Some people were fooled and didn't realize what was going on. And I don't know if that would be an excuse or whatever. Who knows? All we know is that there is this particular mineral that we were talking about yesterday that can eradicate the effects of getting the mark, at least in this physical body. And at the very least, it would definitely stop people from having that malignant sore or ulcer, perhaps. But whether or not it's a matter of you took it, now you got to go to hell or not. I mean, there's always, in my book, no matter who or where you are, I always believe that the Lord will always forgive, no matter who you are, anytime, as long as you get breath in your soul or in your lungs to cry out and say, Lord, please, I'm sorry. I didn't realize what I was doing. One indication to me that there may be some exceptions for people who accidentally went out and got this first. Well, for one thing, people have been getting these, SHOT. They've been getting these things since, look, I got one. Remember I told you yesterday when I was, I think I was in third grade. We all filed up to this classroom down the hall. Everybody in third grade, and I think first, second grade too, and fourth and fifth. I don't remember who did it, but it seemed like the whole school. We all, one at a time, each classroom, one at a time. We filed up to this place, and they gave us some kind of a shot. And like I said, I don't even think they told my mother. But I had gotten that one, and then the other time when I had gotten the tetanus shot. So we've all gotten these things, and we didn't necessarily, none of us really know what was going on. I think there'll come a point here when we'll know what's really going on. This may not even be the particular one where it's critical. There's a lot of experimenting going on right now. So, friends, if you've already gotten the shot, don't be too discouraged. We've all made mistakes. Go out and get this particular mineral that we were talking about, this particular thing we talked about in yesterday's video. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you guys can email me and I'll let you know. But far as we know, it takes away all of this stuff. I'm using it because, like I said, I've been through just, eating Campbell's soup, just breathing the air that these, terrible people have been making for us. It just, all the canned foods, the box foods, everything is poison. Are we all damned to hell forever and ever because we got caught up in the lies and we didn't get out of this Babylon quick enough? Well, there does come a point when when the Bible says the door is shut and there's time no longer. I don't think we've reached that point, friends. So for those of you out there who are wondering, since you've already gotten this shot and you wondered if you've done the unthinkable, I don't know. If I were you, I would Watch that video we did yesterday. And do everything you can to fix the problem and pray and start acting the part of one of the 144,000 and go out and feed the hungry, preach the good news, and heal the sick. And look, even if you're, let's say that nope, that's it, you did it, you're going to hell now. There's nothing you can do about it, all right? I would still do everything I could to rid myself of that poison. And I would still go out and help people and love people and feed them. Because you know that the Lord is gracious and good and fair. And, you know, we all make mistakes. So there doesn't seem to be any scriptural reason to think that just because this book of Revelation talks in symbols and seems to say that there's this group that does this and they all die, and there's a group that does this and they don't, and we can't take it that literally. Some have even said that the 145,000 may not be a literal number, simply because it seems like everything in the Bible is symbolic in some way or another. We don't know that there's going to be that only exactly 144,000. It says 12,000 from each tribe. It's possible that it's just saying that the full number, whatever that number may be, and it may only be known to the Lord himself, is going to come in. It could be, in the end, several million. We don't know if this number is literal. Now, yeah, it is interesting because the great multitude doesn't have a number and this one does. But instead of meaning that this one doesn't have a number and this one does, it could just be saying or indicating that this group is everybody. Everybody eventually gets to be part of the great multitude, right? But the other group are certain individuals beforehand approved of and called out specifically. But again, that specific number of people that the Lord has already chosen may not be an exact number. This may simply be a literal number that's not symbolic of a literal number, but a literal number that's symbolic of a definitive number that was pre-known, predestined number. The rest of mankind's not specifically predestined for that particular thing, but this group is a certain predefined, predetermined number, but it may not be exactly 144,000. I hope that makes sense. So, don't start thinking, well, the 144,000 is a small number, I could never be part of that. Of course you could. The Lord is seeking individuals with humble hearts. He's not seeking kings and emperors. He's not seeking people that think they're, you know, their poo-poo don't stink. He's all of the people on this earth is his children. He loves you equally. Okay? He's not partial. He loves everybody. With all of his heart, you're his children. Anyone who responds to him and loves him and has faith, then they've already passed over from death to life. He's already promised us that. So we all have that opportunity to follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. And so, Revelation 14 says, these are the ones that did not defile themselves with women. In fact, they are virgins. That's not literal, so maybe the number is not literal, because they're not going to be literal virgins. The Apostle Peter was one of these individuals, and he was married. The Apostle Paul wasn't. But it doesn't mean a literal virgin. It means that we're not having an illicit affair with this carnal nature. We're chaste virgins waiting for the Christ, because we're going to have a relationship with a higher order of existence. And so it says, they keep following the Lamb no matter where he goes. These were bought from among mankind as first fruits. So now we see exactly what these are. When you have a harvest, Jesus talked about the harvest, which is the end of the age. You always have a certain field or kind of fruit that grows before other fruits. So the barley harvest would be the first fruits in that area there where this book and this whole scenario is played out, where Jesus was born and the climate in which they have in that area. It was barley that would be considered their first fruits. But nevertheless, these are spoken of throughout the New Testament. The apostles talk about the firstborn of many brethren. That's Jesus. So the brethren are also his firstborn brethren, compared to the rest of the world, the first fruits. And so it says, first is Christ, and afterwards those who are his when he arrives. And those, it says, are the first fruits. And they also have the first resurrection. And those who have part in the first resurrection, the second death hath no more authority. So the one thing you get as a prize for accepting the call, Jesus has called you. He tells you, come, all ye who want to drink life's water for free, come and follow me. He didn't deny anyone. So if you're willing to follow him, all you have to do is go. And you will be received. And you will be then harmonizing on your 10-string harp, because that's that love that the Apostle John says helps you know that you are one of them, because you can harmonize that harp. You can have harmony and love. If you have love, you know what that is. See, if you're running around hurting people, then you're not a part of that. It's simply that easy. And anyone who simply doesn't become frightened and intimidated and go off and beat their fellow servants. But all you got to do is give a cup of water to one of these little ones, Jesus said, and you will not lose your reward. No matter what you do during this time, Jesus said, you won't lose your reward. So all we have to do to get through this is to be that group that Jesus said that not one hair of your head shall be harmed. That would be the best group. And that group, who are they? Those are the ones that follow the Lamb wherever he goes and are very faithful. And it doesn't mean that they're out, keeping all these laws and rituals and various prerequisites and legal requirements to get in. It's a simple, nowhere in the New Testament is there any other qualifications than being one who loves the Lord and your neighbor as yourself. That's it. That's all that you have to do. So, well, then everybody should be a part of the 144,000. Should be everybody. Well, you'd think so, right? But most people are not doing it at all. They're not helping other people. They're hoarding all their wealth. They're not preaching good news, but they're preaching, get the SHOT, and they're telling people the wrong information. They're not full of faith. Many people don't even believe in the Lord anymore. So this is why Jesus talked about having oil in your lamps. And there's other parables such as the talents. Jesus gave everybody certain talents, and we have to be able to use them properly. And one person went and buried his talent in the ground, and he said, you good and unfaithful servant. You should have put it in the bank. At least you'd have gotten interest. So he wants us to work for others, help other people. That's all we got to do. He gives us our talents. We need to use them to help others. And the other one, where we have to have oil in our lamps, means that the oil keeps the lamp burning. And if our lamp's not burning, or we're not aware, we don't know what's going on, then our lamp is going out, because we don't know what's going on. We don't have knowledge. We didn't seek the truth. But we got caught up in the world and got mesmerized. We lost the oil in our lamp. We started being worldly. Don't do that. Right now, it's important more than any time in history, to be wide awake, to be sober. Pay attention. You need to start praying, stocking up in food, not just for yourself, but for others. Warning everybody around you, your children, your family. Getting prepared, making sure you have a place to leave. And as I said, friends, we've got a place of refuge going for anybody who is scared, not knowing what they're going to do or where they're going to, be able to hunker down. If things start going south or whatever, just let me know. Like I said, there's this place that is in Michigan right now. The Lord's raising up certain individuals around the world to come together and provide a place of refuge and brotherhood for those who are inclined at this time. So, looks like we're over an hour now already. And probably go ahead and leave it there and get this out. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great one.